Hey, what's happening, y'all? Yes, I want to welcome you to another episode of Getting Stoned with your host, Mr. Stone Petoskey. Yes, I want to send so much love, so much gratitude, so much good vibage out to all y'all today and every day. That's what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters. I hope you're feeling irie today. I appreciate you taking your precious time to stop on by and give this little show of mine a listen. It is my deepest pleasure to be here with all y'all. Yes. One love, one love, one love. Yeah, sending a big hug out there. You know how it is. You know how it is. You know how we roll. Feels good. Hug it out now. Especially yourself. Give yourself a big hug. Because you are beautiful. Yes, you are. Don't you doubt it. Don't you doubt it. Come on now. Believe it with all your heart and soul. Know you are beautiful. Yeah. Well, so we got a cool celestial event coming up here in a couple days. I myself am very stoked. Gonna have a total solar eclipse. Yeah, I'll be laying my eyes on that bad boy. Yeah, I've seen a couple of these. Been blessed enough to see a couple of them in my lifetime. If you have an opportunity, my friends, I would say it is a bucket list item, as they call it. Make sure you're in the path of totality. Yes, it makes all the difference. Yeah. So I hope you're able to experience that. It's one of those kind of things for myself where it's like in that shadow, you know. When the moon comes between the sun and the earth, it is like a rebirth. It reminds me of the preciousness of life, but also the impermanence of all that is. Yeah, and the smallness, the very, very tiny, tiny nature of what one human life is. Yeah. And our earth, that is our home, that takes care of us, that provides all we need to survive. Yes, this precious planet of ours. Yeah. It is just one of infinite planets in this infinite universe. And I'm saying there's a whole bunch more going on than we like to see or believe there is. Yes, I think the universe is a pattern. It's all patterning, spiraling infinitely. Yes, I'm not a big myself anyways. The whole theory of evolution, I just don't know that I vibe with that whole thing so much. Like I said, I think it's more like patterns. And there's no hierarchy. Humans ain't above nothing else. Humans ain't below nothing else. Although sometimes the way we behave, I can have a tendency to think that on occasion. But then I snap out of it and remember that humans are just as much of a miracle as a blade of grass, or a dolphin, or a winding river. Yeah. Really does help to put things in perspective, y'all. Sometimes we just get so caught up in our own story and all the things that are going on, and it just all seems so goddamn important. Yeah, so this little The clips will remind you very powerfully and very miraculously, very beautifully, very sublimely to relax. Take a breath. Yeah, you don't need to be making these stories all that big of a deal. Take a look in the mirror and see that beautiful soul reflected back at you. Or better yet, take the hand of one of your brothers and sisters and look each other in the eye. I mean, really, really look. And I promise you, in that moment, things will reveal themselves in the most divine of ways. Yeah. Wow. So good, so good, so good. Life, so good. Yeah. Sometimes it's funny. You know, we hurt, you hurt. There's pain. You feel pain in this life. We all know it. We all feel it. It is a part of it. And then there is the pleasure. So the joy and the sorrow, the pain and the pleasure, these opposites, they are what the game is here on this Mother Earth. Without the opposites, we would not have anything to compare. It would be impossible to understand the feeling of joy without the feeling of sorrow. So I like to say it's sort of this three-dimensional school on Mother Earth. And we are here to learn. Our soul, if you can dig it, is here in class. So don't be an ass. Yeah. You know, I know sometimes in class I'd be at the back of the room fucking around, causing trouble, right? When I was in elementary school. Of course, I got all kinds of, my parents weren't too keen on that, so they didn't allow that to go on and on. But it was my nature at the time to just sort of raise a ruckus. And I would have to say, some things haven't changed. I just got a little more maturity and self-awareness, but I still like to raise a ruckus. But in any case, sitting in rows and having to take notes and listen to the teacher and follow the rules, those things really got under my skin, and they still do. I think this school that we're in, it's really, really important to be true to yourself above all else. Learn, listen, be compassionate, yes, of course. Be empathetic. Smile a lot. Help out your neighbors. But do not follow orders. Do not comply to things that don't align with your soul. Do not abide just because everybody else is. No, sir. You are here to walk your path, to live your truth. So get to it. All right, let's read from this book. It's Pretty cool stuff. It's called The Hidden Messages in Water by Masaru Emoto. I've shared some of this brother's work on this show before, and we're gonna just tap into a little bit of it here today. This is the chapter titled "Consciousness Creates All." Since becoming entranced by the wondrous powers of water, I have been blessed with the opportunity to see and conduct experiments on many types of water from around the world. Each sample of water from a different part of the world has its own unique and beautiful characteristics. I have also seen with my own eyes how the water of the world is becoming polluted. The World Trade Organization has stated that the 20th century started with wars for oil, but that in the 21st century we will see wars for water. I mentioned that there is no tap water in Japan that is capable of forming complete and whole crystals due to the use of chlorine. Chlorine, introduced at the beginning of the 20th century in London, has been used in Japan for more than 50 years. In contrast to tap water, the water from springs, the upper reaches of rivers, and other such natural sources creates beautiful crystals. However, most of the water that is now emerging from the ground fell from the clouds more than 50 years ago, about the time that industrialization began in Japan. Pollution of rainwater has reached a global scale. I tried to take photographs of crystals formed using tap water from a city in Japan which had been polluted with dioxin, but I couldn't get the water to produce even a shadow of a crystal. Industrial waste circulates, polluting water as it goes and spreading toxins throughout the world. But there is hope. The people of the city with the dioxin-polluted water have become very interested in protecting their water. And now each year it is becoming easier and easier to form crystals. Pollution originated within our own consciousness. We started to think that we wanted a bountiful and convenient lifestyle at any cost. And this selfishness led to the pollution of the environment that now affects every corner of the globe. We have seen through the crystal photographs that water is the mirror of our souls. What do our souls look like? And how should they look? These are questions that can also be answered by water. In what direction are we headed? What is our role in protecting this planet? Such questions can only be considered when we recognize the greatness of the human being. Perhaps it is time that we stop seeing the human being as the evil agent. I think we underestimate the innate abilities that we each have. We do have enormous power. Scientists estimate that there are between 108 and 111 elements. Thus far, 90 elements have been verified in the human body, all of the creatures alive. Only the human body contains so many elements. But I suspect that there are still elements left to be discovered within us, or that we will obtain the remaining elements as we evolve, moving closer to becoming complete human beings. The more evolved creatures contain a greater array of elements. Compared with human beings, plants contain far fewer. And what is the result of having fewer elements? We can deduce that the fewer elements mean a smaller capacity for emotions. Other animals can feel pain, but it's most likely that only humans and other animals close to our level of evolution are capable of the higher emotions of sadness and passion. If we consider that the human body is a universe within itself, it is only natural to conclude that we carry within us all the elements. According to Buddhism, the human being is born with 108 earthly desires, such as confusion, attachment, jealousy, and vanity, which torture us throughout our lives. I think it is logical to conclude that these 108 earthly desires have counterparts in the 108 elements. In fact, the first vibration direction device that I introduced in Japan went a long way toward proving this. The device was capable of measuring the unique vibrations emitted around us and then transcribing them into water. I was able to measure the vibrations coming from many different people, and I realized that the negative vibrations that we emit correspond to the vibrations emitted by the various elements. For example, the vibrations created by irritation are equivalent to those of mercury, by anger to those of lead, and by sadness and sorrow to those of aluminum. In the same way, uncertainty is related to cadmium, despair to steel, and stress to zinc. In recent years, it has been pointed out that the use of aluminum pans and cooking utensils may be a contributing factor in Alzheimer's disease. If this is true, then it is likely that it is because aluminum has the same vibrational frequency as sadness. And so the sadness and sorrow of old age calls out to aluminum, leading to the onset of Alzheimer's. This is a very meaningful theory for me, especially since I have my own ideas about the relationship between the 100 unearthly elements and the earthly desires. The number of planets in the solar system is 9, a number that, when multiplied by 12, gives us 108. Using the periodic table, we may someday be able to identify which planets correlate to which elements. Even as I wrote the draft for this book, I saw a television program that said all the elements on Earth were created by the high heat of a star exploding in distant outer space. Just one more interesting piece of the puzzle. Throughout our lives, we will be subject to the 108 earthly desires, but how should we deal with these negative emotions that seem so impossible to avoid? Knowing how to deal with these negative emotions and feelings is the same knowledge that we need to get along well in this life. So what should we do if we find our minds full of anger, sadness, envy, or other negative thoughts? We first need to understand that it is not possible or necessary to rid ourselves of our emotions. There isn't anyone who is completely free from negative thoughts. We all carry within us a memory of our ancestors from the distant past, beginning with the awakening of the first human being. And we are all destined to inherit a portion of their negativity. However, it is indeed painful to be unable to free ourselves from constant negative thoughts and feelings that eat away at our souls. If only for a moment, how can we go from freeing ourselves from all of the negativity? Based on the principles of vibration, the answer is very clear. All we need to do is emit the emotion that is opposite to the negative emotion. By combining two opposite waves, the negative emotion disappears. A few years back, a university in Japan developed a method for erasing sound with sound. They would create one noise that would serve to erase the unwanted noise and thus create a quiet space. By identifying the wavelength of the unwanted noise, the researchers were able to create the exact opposite noise and broadcast it from speakers, completely wiping out the sound in a specific area. There are parallels to this principle for human emotions. For every negative emotion, there is an exactly opposite positive emotion. The fact that two opposite emotions issue the same wave is significant for two reasons. First, like Jekyll and Hyde, we all have two faces. You probably are aware that people with short tempers tend to be quick to cry, and that it's not uncommon for someone who everyone sees as being a good person to suddenly commit a crime. We frequently hear about a man who is kind and gentle to his girlfriend, but who becomes threatening and violent as soon as she talks about leaving him. While there is no one who hasn't an evil bone in their body, there is also no one who is totally evil to the core. The fact that someone harbors opposing emotions simply makes them human. If you have been made sick by the emotion of hate, then you need to look for healing in the emotion of appreciation. But even if you know this, it still may be difficult to fill your heart with gratitude if it is already filled with hate for others. At such times, it might be helpful to rely on the services of a healer. As a result, people who have been made ill by the vibrations of hate can be miraculously healed by drinking this holy water. This is the same principle involved in homeopathy. Why, when a poison is diluted in water to the point where it can be no longer physically detected, does the previously toxic solution then become therapeutic? When the substance itself is gone and all that is left is the information from the vibration, both poison and medicine become the same. Logically thinking, medicine is not good for the body. It may alleviate symptoms and get rid of pain, but medicine can also become a powerful poison. Medicine that gets rid of pain happens to have the opposite vibrational frequency of the targeted pain. By mixing various substances together in the lab, you'll be able to find the frequency that you are looking for. When you inject the substance into a mouse and get the desired effect, you can then try giving the substance to humans. When the medicine enters the body and stops the pain, the vibrations from the combined substances stop, and the various substances return to their original states in which they emit their original vibrations. However, if these vibrations happen to damage other cell structures, then harmful side effects will result. Medicine is useful in the treatment of illness, but we don't really understand why medicine works. When you look at the medicine from a standpoint of vibration, you get a totally different picture. In my opinion, a doctor who treats the human body must first be a philosopher. In the past, the doctor was the community shaman or priest, exhorting people to follow the laws of nature, live their lives correctly, and make use of the healing powers found in nature. If doctors were to treat not only the sick parts of the body, but also the human consciousness, then I think we would see a great reduction in the need for doctors and hospitals. People with ailments would go to their nearby philosopher for help in understanding the mistakes they have made, and then go home determined to live a better life. It may well be that the physicians of the future will be more like counselors than the doctors we have today. I have talked with many people about their health problems, and I have come to see that ailments are largely a result of negative emotions. If you can erase the cause of such emotions, you have an innate capacity to recover from illness. The importance of being positive cannot be underestimated. Positive thinking will strengthen your immune system and help to set you moving towards recovery, a fact that the medical community is starting to wake up to. For instance, there is a doctor who treats his cancer patients with mountain climbing, giving people a reason to live, boost their spirits and their immune systems. There is also an increase in holistic medicine. In fact, doctors have recently formed many organizations to promote this type of medicine in Japan. The days of believing only that which we can be seen by the naked eye have passed, and we are now starting to open our eyes to the importance of the soul. It is a move in the right direction, and I think it will become the way the majority thinks within this century. The human body is essentially water, and consciousness is the soul. Methods that help water to flow smoothly are superior to all other medical methods available to us. It's all about keeping the soul in an unpolluted state. Can you imagine what it would be like to have water capable of forming beautiful crystals flowing throughout your entire body? It can happen if you let it. Among all medicines, there are none with the healing powers of love. Since I came to this realization, I have continued to tell people that immunity is love. What could be more effective at overcoming negative powers and returning vitality to the human body. However, I have recently felt the need to change my terminology. I now know that it is not love alone that forms immunity, but love and gratitude. What is the relationship between love and gratitude? For an answer to this question, we can use water as a model. A water molecule consists of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom, represented by H2O. If love and gratitude, like oxygen and hydrogen, were linked together in a ratio of 1 to 2, gratitude would be twice as large as love. I suggest that having twice the amount of gratitude as love is the balance we should strive for. When we observe the natural world, we can see that the passive energy has greater strength. The fish of the sea produce enormous numbers of eggs, but not all of them hatch. Only a small portion reach the stage where they hatch, while the remaining eggs are offered as food to the other creatures. Have human beings lived in a ratio of 2 parts gratitude and 1 part love? I suspect that the exact opposite is true. Of course, the grandeur of love cannot be denied, and most people do have a general understanding of the power of love. However, we have been raised in a culture where all our focus is placed on the energy of love, while the other side of the formula receives little attention. The focus of the human race has been drawn away from that which cannot be seen and towards the obvious physical world. And in order to make as much of the physical world our own as possible, we have cut down forests and fought back deserts in an effort to ensure the supreme domination of our culture. Such advancements by human society may indeed be the result of love for our families and our countries. But as long as we continue to live our lives based on this strategy, there will be no end to conflict. The history of the 20th century was the history of fighting and warfare. Perhaps we are finally beginning to see that the direction we are moving to leads nowhere. We have sacrificed too much in order to secure the riches of life. Forests have been destroyed and clean water lost. And we have cut up and sold the earth itself. What the world needs now is gratitude. We must begin by learning what it means to have enough. We need to feel gratitude for having been born on a planet so rich in nature, and gratitude for the water that makes our life possible. Do we really know how wonderful it is to be able to breathe a big breath of clean air? If you open your eyes, you will see that the world is full of so much that deserves our gratitude. When you have become the embodiment of gratitude, think about how pure the water that fills your body will be. When this happens, you yourself will be a beautiful, shining crystal of light. Oh boy. Amen, brother. Masaru Emoto. Yes. A beautiful, shiny crystal of light indeed, my brother. The hidden messages of water, y'all. I definitely encourage you to check it out. All right. We're gonna jump on into a couple of poems now, as we always do. This gentleman, I read his poetry here on the show before. Mr. David Whyte. Love this man's work. This is from his book called Essentials. The poem is titled The Faces at Braga. In monastery darkness, by the light of one flashlight, the old shrine room waits in silence. While above the door we see the terrible figure, fierce eyes demanding, will you step through? And the old monk leads us, bent back, nudging blackness, prayer beads in the hand that beckons. We light the butter lamps and bow, eyes blinking in the pungent smoke. Look up without a word, see faces in meditation, 100 faces carved above, eye lines wrinkled in the hand-held light. Such love in solid wood, taken from the hillsides and carved in silence. They have the vibrant stillness of those who made them. Engulfed by the past, they have been neglected, but through smoke and darkness, they are like the flowers. That we have seen growing through the dust of eroded slopes. Their slowly opening faces turn toward the mountain. Carved in devotion, their eyes have softened through age, and their mouths curve through delight of the carver's hand. If only our own faces would allow the invisible carver's hand to bring the deep grain of love to the surface. If only we knew, as the carver knew, how the flaws in the wood led his searching chisel to the very core. We would smile too, and did not need faces immobilized by fear and the weight of things undone. When we fight with our failings, we ignore the entrance to the shrine itself and wrestle with the guardian, fierce figure on the side of good. And as we fight, our eyes are hooded with grief, and our mouths are dry with pain. If only we could give ourselves to the blows of the carver's hands, the lines in our faces would be the trace lines of rivers feeding the sea, where voices meet, praising the features of the mountain and the cloud and the sky. Our faces would fall away until we, growing younger toward death every day, would gather all our flaws in celebration to merge with them perfectly, impossibly, wedded to our essence, full of silence from the carver's hands. Yeah, I told you. David Whyte, man. Damn. All right, let's read one more. This one is titled Love in the Night. Sometimes, when you lie close to me, your body is so still in my arms, I find myself half in love with your barely breathing form, and half in love with the unspeaking silent source from which you come. I find myself touching your lips with mine to feel their warmth, and bowing my head to hear your breath, and stilling myself to listen far inside you for the gentle rise and fall of the tide that tells me you are still free to come and go in life. So that I take your hand in mine to sense your pulse and touch your hair and stroke your cheek and move my lips to yours to feel the warmth emerging from your inward self, and to see we are still here and still pledged to breathe this world together. All night like this, I find myself asleep and awake, turn toward the moon and then turn toward you. Your warmth inviting me to bring you close and leave you alone. All night I find myself unable to choose between the love I feel for you through closeness and the grief of having to let you go through distance, so that it seems I can only breathe fully in the dark by taking you in and giving you away in your quiet rhythm of appearance and disappearance. Letting you return in your breathing and not breathing, or your half-sighed phrases spoken to the dark, whispered from the dream in which you live, so that I lie between sleeping and waking, seeing you are here and dreaming you are gone, wanting to hold you and wanting to let you go. Living far inside you as you breathe close to me, and living far beyond you as I wait through the hours of the night for you to wake and find me again. The light in your eyes, half dreaming on the pillow, looking back at me and seeing me at last. Not knowing how far I have traveled, through what distance I have come to find you, where I have been, or what I have seen, how far or how near, not knowing how I have gained and lost you 100 times between darkness and dawn. David Whyte. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Oh, the poems you write. Whew. This is why I love poetry so much, y'all. There's nothing that can compare. I'm not saying it's better than painting or music. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I love poetry. All right, let's do a song. This is more poetry in a way, right? There must be some way out of here, said the joker to the thief. There's too much confusion, I can't get no relief. The businessmen, they drink my wine, plowmen dig my earth. There's none of them along this line what any of it's worth. No reason to get excited. The thief he kindly spoke. There are many here among us now who feel that life is but a joke. With you and I, we've been through that, and This is not our fate, so let us stop talking falsely now. The hour's getting late. All along the watchtower, the princess kept a view. Well, all the women came and went, the barefoot servants too. Outside in the cold distance, the wildcat did growl. Two riders were approaching, and the wind began to howl. All along the watchtower, all along the watchtower, all along the watchtower. Yes. Yes. Incredible song there, written by the one and only Mr. Bob Dylan. All right. Thank you so much for listening, y'all. Sending another big hug out there to you. Yes, know you are loved. Know you are amazing. Know you are a beautiful, shining light of love. Until next time, y'all, this is Stone Petoskey saying peace.